Hi guys, Colin from Battle Systems here, and
Ben from Battle Systems.
hey, so we've got it. It's in our hands. What everybody's been waiting for. Look, it's heavy to lift up, but it's the Maladum game, but not just any Maladum game. It is the Kickstarter edition of the Maladum game. So it's heavier than the retail one considerably.
Beast.
Having just done the unboxing for the retail version, I can tell you right now that this one's a bit heavier. Okay, so it is an unboxing video, so we know you know all about the product and you've been waiting to see this, so we're just going to open this together and just have a nose through it, shall we?
Can't wait.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to stick this over here and lift this lid off. Yeah. Okay, so far it looks like the retail version, but if we pull out the mat, Ben, speak about the mat.
So here's one of our lovely neoprene mats. You're probably familiar with them if you backed any of our previous things.
Yep.
Nicely gridded, all good to go. Lovely art on it.
And just said so.
It's
Pretty reflective.
And
Thinner than normal.
yes,
Yeah, so we've we've worked out over the years that the thinner the mat, the better. It really just stops all the creases and everything like that. When it comes to neoprene mats, thicker or bigger is definitely not better. So these mats are awesome. We've learned this, I think, from Core Space first print, of course, or second print out Core Space onwards. And this is just perfect. So yeah, absolutely love the mat. And this has got the grade points on it as well for the spawning. So you're not just like Core Space just spawning from the outside, which is awesome as well. Okay, yeah, very happy with that. But just the same as the retail version, the mat doesn't change. So we've also got this little dice bag in here, which was an upgrade on Kickstarter, I believe.
very nice it is too.
Lots of rattling on the audio there. And then we've got, so here's your dice bag. I don't know if it was apparent on the Kickstarter, but having played many, many games of Maladum, the thing I like about this game is, I love the game, is the dice mat, is dice bag, it's got this flat bottom, and you can roll it down. And when you're playing, it's just really easy to just like blindly go in and grab things, as long as nobody's cheating and doing this. But yeah, absolutely love this. Big upgrade. Definitely want to do this kind of map for future games. This kind of a pouch for future games. Which
Got a nice quality feel to it.
it does have got quality feel. Got some baggies, lots of baggies. Wow, loads of baggies. Okay, really handy for putting all your counters and everything in.
Never have enough of that.
But otherwise they're just a baggie. Okay, some rulers.
Nice rulers. Nice and see-through, so you can place them over your game without it getting in the way.
Yep, no more measuring. Yeah, like Firstborn, our second Core Space game, and Maladum, we've kept it gridded so that when you're playing the game, you can play by grid. And of course, when you do have these funny angles, you don't want to be counting stuff. A range ruler is going to be perfect.
And these are nice and thick.
Yeah, I think we thickened them. Yeah, we did some testing and stuff. We thickened them so they're much more shatterproof, as it were. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Nice swirly magic patterns on them. Now, we've also got this lattice, which we've mentioned the retail one. Do not throw this away. This just looks like random cardboard for spaces or something. You're going to need this. It's really important to make sure that once we built everything, that you can fit it all back in the box and not crush any of your lovely terrainy stuff. So we'll pop that over here. Okay, well, this is the money one. This is the money shop. Okay, so then we've got our miniatures, which I'm going to take the top of this off so that we get rid of all that glare. Miniatures are absolutely awesome. Different, a little bit different from the retail version in the fact that we've got all the miniatures here, which are in their little slots, what you get in the retail version. But in addition, then we've got the additional miniatures from the Kickstarter, which are just sitting in here, and then some of the normal retail components as well. These miniatures are absolutely awesome. We've really gone to town on making sure that we've got some of the the best sort of sculpting done, and there's enough flex in them. They're nice hard plastic, but there's enough flex in them so that you're not going to break them if you drop them, and so on and so forth.
The detail is lovely and crisp.
Like I say, we've gone second to none on the sculpting and made sure China have been perfect with their optimization on. A lot of people don't realise that when you're sculpting miniatures that The miniatures you see on the Kickstarter page are these miniatures, but once we then go to print, we actually exaggerate some of the features. But we'd never let you see those miniatures because you'd be like, oh my God, these are horrific, because people with like huge eyebrows and extra long noses and stuff. But we do that so that because those smaller parts, they shrink out the mold.
Yeah.
So we've got that down to a T now. So when the miniatures come out, we haven't got like the blank faces or like shadow features, which is really, really cool. So, yeah, and these miniatures are just absolutely stunning. But let me just move this out of the way. We've also got the additional miniatures in a baggie here, and these are some of your adventurers. So you've got a whole bunch of extra adventurers. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 adventurers in the core game. But in addition to that, we've also got a whole bunch of adventurers. And if you've got the retail version, this would become an expansion pack, the an adventure expansion pack. But as Kickstarter backers, we've basically given you this entire expansion as part of the stretch goals and merged it, into one, as it were, for you guys. And there's loads of really, really cool characters in here.
A bit like Krieger.
You do,
Yeah.
yeah. She's big and she's holding huge. What are those? Rolling pin kind of more big bits of wood with metal straps on them. And we've got lots of really cool characters there. So they are all in a little baggie there, but I'm just going to drop them back in here. So now you've got a spare baggie, extra even more baggies, you see. And then over here we've got a whole bunch of much more sinister looking, more baggies, brilliant, much more sinister looking, like this huge cave troll who's hugging. Look at this, hugging this cat. This
Adorable.
This couldn't have been done any other way. I'm sure I can get him out. So look, bendy plastic. This is what it's all about. So you've got the big cave troll here, unlike this one here, which is like a dead version.
Mm-hmm.
This is the big cave troll, how it should have been before the Revenant got hold of it. And we've got lots of different. We've got the big bear, and then we've got the Allery here on his little flying base, which fits in the bottom of there. Okay. And we've got some of these cool little, tiny little characters, which are on the much smaller bases, which, they're not particularly powerful, but they start to swarm you, which is really, really annoying. And we've got our shapeshifter guy there. So you've also got all of those extra miniatures as well, which is really, really cool. And again, all part of the Kickstarter, which is really, really cool. Those should go back into here. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So what else we got? I think that was it. Let's make this inside. Also in here, you're going to find, your regular items here. So we've got our dice. Dice are awesome. We did it in Firstborn as well, I believe. And again, another baggie there. But we kind of really went to town on our dice. We've got some nice marble dice, and we kind of toned down some of the blues and the reds, so it's a little bit more muted, a bit more fancy, a bit more dirty. Yeah,
Excellent, I think.
exactly. And the awesome magic dice and the new spawning dice, which is really cool as well, because this is what allows your characters to not only come from the spawn points from around, but actually out of the grade points as well.
And they get a pain in the neck when they do.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's just vicious, but Core Space was vicious as well.
Oh, this is true.
Yeah, so that's cool. And then you've got your little pegs, which are going to be used in the tracker you'll see in a moment. And these kind of areas in the tray here are really good for when you're gaming. You can basically just make sure that you can empty the pegs into there, and you can just dip into there if you haven't got another little solution. I keep my little pots around the table, but you can totally use this tray. No problem at all. So you can see all the miniatures are in there, and you can drop these ones back into here. This is the retail version, which is kind of handy having it like this, because if you want to go through and just kind of play retail-y stuff without the expansions first to keep the game slightly more simple for you, it means that that all the miniatures you need are in these kind of little purpose vacuum drops. Okay, cool. So that's the miniatures. I'm going to put the shiny thing back on top so I don't spill this off camera. Then we have this all-important piece of paper, which is going to protect any marks from your books. Okay, I'm going to pass these to you, Ben.
So, got all of our books. Turn them around so you can see them more. Probably better, isn't it?
Probably better. Yeah.
There we go. So we've got the campaign books. This will be in the normal starter set.
Yep.
We've got the Read This First, which is a nice quick start to get going.
Yep.
Beyond the Vaults, this is the extra element we've added in as part of the Kickstarter.
Yep.
Have a bit more of a look at that in a minute, shall we?
Yeah, of course.
And then, of course, the really beautiful deluxe rulebook. Can't wait to get this one.
This is awesome. This is just this is everything you've got from the normal rules, but we've got additional information at the back as well. We don't really go through the details on the retail unboxing because the rulebook is a rulebook, but this is definitely without a doubt the best rulebook that we've ever done. Mostly because it's this nice tan colour. And anyone knows my artwork, I tend to work in browns and tans. So this really appeals to me. And as before, we've gone through the photography and made sure that all the game examples are proper photography of the actual gaming process with various bits and pieces kind of like highlighted out, as it were, so that you can really understand the rules. Lovely artwork all the way through, beautiful photography. And the first chunk of it is kind of your basic rules, and then it starts going on to, lots of different, more interesting things later on. There's additional lore in there, so you've got details of, at the back, we've got all the reference material at the back as well, though you'll see in a moment that we've actually got reference cards as well. But then we've got all of the available skills at the back of the book, along with, a proper index and, some quick reference pages as well. And then we've got lots of information as well about the lore and the different types of characters, including all of their artwork. So you can really just get yourself deep into the lore of the book, which is really, really cool. I could just flick through this book for hours. When we first got them, there's a map there as well. When we first got the finished rule book, I just sat there and I played a lot of Maladum, as you can guess, over the last couple of years. But I just started reading through this. It just made me want to play the game again and again. And I've played, hundreds and hundreds of games of this. So, rule book, absolutely stunning. And then you also said we got the Beyond the Vaults, is it?
Yeah, is that here?
Yeah. This as well, Beyond the Vaults here, which is really, really cool. So, again, even more information covering, other expansion stuff and newer terrain parts and how you can really use Maladum with all of our other terrain products. And it's got, examples of how you can set these up with some really huge kind of double setups using like a dungeon set and everything. We know that on the Kickstarter, you guys really kind of lent into the dungeon terrain. So, and you really needed to think, well, okay, this is great, but how do I use this with my Maladum game? It's like, well, they were kind of two separate products, really, in many respects, although designed for themselves. We're like, no, let's put them together. And so we've given you these lovely build examples. And once you've got used to doing these, you can just have fun with the dungeon. And just go nuts.
So many options for you.
Exactly. And it includes expansions in there for the various different sets. You can see the sewers kind of in there and it's the lava version of the flip tiles. But yeah, so you've got that in there as well, plus the big advanced rule book. You've then got the campaign book, which you will, again, get all the different maps for all the different quests. Not a linear campaign like in Core Space.
I'm really interested to see how that's going to play out when I get really stuck into it.
Yeah, it's tough.
Is it?
Yeah, it's tough. Well, I found it tough. But yeah. Having said that, I've not had a character die, so it must be pretty good.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Some people get slaughtered in their first life.
I can't imagine who that would be.
I don't know. So, okay, so we've got all the maps and bits and pieces in there, which are really, really cool. So, awesome. Lots of everything you need, basically, from a reference point of view and rules and so on and so forth. But what have we still got in the box? Well, we have got this. I'm going to pull this out. Just move that to one side. Oh, flipping out. That's a bit okay. And this has been taped down to stop stuff rattling around. We learnt this after the first Core Space print run. Everything was flying around inside the box. We're like, okay, you know what can we do to make sure that this doesn't fly around in a box? So trying to we can put sticky tape on it. And like, okay, that seems to work, and it does. So, dread track. Let's get rid of this. Whee! Okay. So we've got our dashboards. We've got our dread track here, which we're going to put our dread tracker in it. I guess this is just a dashboard for it. And this is pretty good because for anyone who's played Core Space, or you guys on the Kickstarter pretty much probably know quite a lot about the game actually already. But this is going to really just start to ramp the difficulty up as you get through it. And it's a double-sided one as well, so you can flip it over. So normally the hostility tracker, you start at like a more quiet phase and you slowly work your way up until you get to like Doom or whatever. But we've also got a flip side. So when you flip that over, you can start coming in and it's absolutely mental. And you have to kind of, for those quests where you come in and you're kind of like freeing someone or trying to break down the initial attack, then it goes quiet in the middle. And that's the time for you to kind of regroup and, eat some food and rest and just, get on and like, what are we here for? Oh, yeah, objective, find that kind of stuff. And then you can start to move on. And of course, if you stay too long, it's just going to go mental very, very quickly. Anyway, that's going to keep that all in place and track that for you. Then we have the character dashboards, and we've got the NPC dashboards as well. Character dashboards a bit different from Core Space. They're a little bit bigger, so there's a little bit more information for the cards. Your class board, like Core Space, goes in here, and then we've got a bit more space for your equipment. But we've also got this new area here, which is for your kind of
Status effects.
Status effects, yes, thank you, Ben. Status effects, which is a very kind of fancy thing. So you can have people that are kind of wounded or fatigued or blessed. Blessed is an awesome mechanic.
We need to bless every time.
If your wizard has got blessed, when you need to go in, your Maladum, should I say, has got blessed. When you go in, you need to bless the crap out of everything that you possibly can. Every character, yourself included, because they're going to really help with things like rerolls and other effects. Okay, gaming tip there for you. But what's also new is that we've got these NPC boards as well, which is a cut down version of this. They don't have a class board because they're an NPC board and all their stats are kind of condensed into this character. But it means that we can have NPCs with health and magic and take status effects as well.
I'm really excited about this because it just opens up so much more variety and different ways of playing with characters and having difficulty levels that are adjusted.
Exactly. When the Maladum first turns up, you're going to just run from him. He's going to be super powerful. You're not going to be able to take him out. Or it's unlikely you're going to be able to take him out. So, and he's going to have one of these dashboards and have a lot of, a lot of health and certainly a lot of magic, far more than you most likely. So those are your dashboards. Got those here. Here then we have got event cards. This is considerably thicker than the Core Space ones. The Core Space is roughly 50 cards, like an ordinary kind of deck of cards would be 52, wouldn't it? So looks like we've got at least an extra sort of 40% again on cards. And this is, all the stuff that we've got, things like of Alan Adventure and some other interesting effects and extra cards that we've just like unlocked throughout the Kickstarter, which is cool.
And this is a really phenomenal addition. If you played Core Space, you'll know this, that they just add a whole load of cinematic elements to it. They completely change your plans halfway through a mission.
Absolutely.
And of course, these allow you to add in NPCs with different missions. And
agreed. And the way I play Maladum and also always play Core Space is if I've got the expansions, which obviously you've got a ton of extras. The Kickstarter back got a ton of extra here, but then there's more expansion things. I tend to just have all of the every expansion, or almost every expansion comes with some event cards. And I tend to just add them to my normal deck and shuffle them in. And I just have the expansions nearby. And what that means is that when you play, you really don't know what's going to turn up, what expansion, what characters. And I just like, if I pull out like in, pull something out like in Core Space, I pull out, the Galactic Core, I'd grab that expansion and just add the models into it. And sometimes that stuff comes out and sometimes it doesn't. But it's really nice to try and get on and do your ordinary quest and just have all this additional kind of content come in, especially as your adventurers get really leveled up and you're feeling a bit cocky going in there, like, you've just...
it's extra spice in as well, doesn't it?
It does.
Not knowing quite what's going to come along.
Exactly.
Right.
And this is a lot of cards, so that's really, really cool. You've got some terrain clips in here, which is going to be for all of your lovely terrain that you clip together, your modular terrain to build the setup. So, these are clips, they're going to hold it together. There's not much more to say about those.
Apart from they're the new style ones, which are...
Okay, there is more to say about those. This is a good point, Ben. So these are the new style clips. What we've done is pretty much we've removed the fin off of the outside. When we first was creating the terrain, I had like a fin on the outside. Well, the very first clips weren't even They were just like laser cut flat.
Mm.
Then I made these ones a little bit stronger and thicker, and we started going into proper molded clips. But I left the fin on for strength. Didn't need to do that at all because I started removing the fins, and it makes no difference whatsoever.
The cosmetic really
It
hasn't been much.
exactly, and so what that means is that you've got less of the clips disappear even more than they used to, but they're better. Okay, cool. Then, if you've got or seen the unboxing for the retail version, you'll notice that you also get some sort of small. It's about 4 or 5 cards or something of these big reference cards. Well, you can see here there's a big stack of maybe 70 cards here. So, and this has got lots of really interesting content in it, like side quests that can come along, and all the reference for all of the stuff that's in the deluxe book. All the different classes of character and so on and so forth. And of course, you've got a little bag of stuff. And of course, you've got the Maladum pen, which is really, really cool. This is what you're going to be using to track your adventures. You don't need this while the game's going on. You just use it in between game to decide which stats you're going to level up onto your character boards, which are like a dry whiteboard. And it's got a little slot there that it fits into. That's a lot of content. That's really, really cool. Loads of miniatures. And I'll tell you what I haven't even shown the cardboard yet. Oh, God, it just felt so much already. Okay. So here we have the cardboard terrain. Similar to the retail version, you're going to get the Vaults of Enveron terrain. That's the basic 3D dungeon that you're going to get with all the cool little tombs and, chests and little crates and so on and so forth. So I'm going to move these to one side for 1 second. So this is the ordinary terrain, which has got your basic walls here, which you're going to use to put the little clips in and clip them and create your kind of 3D environment, as it were. And you'll get 3 sheets of that. And these are really cool because unlike Core Space, where we had the doors and things separately, because we don't have like power doors in dungeons generally, not yet anyway. Even though this game is set in the future in Core Space, but let's not get into that. So we've got these little doors here, which will open and close, okay, throughout your adventure without having to kind of push little doors in, so on and so forth. So again, this is just another thing where Maladum's just taken something and we just pushed it a little bit more with the cardboard technology. More entrances and doors and sconces and struts and so on and so forth. Then we've got a couple of sheets. These 2 sheets are the same with all of your chests and tombs and cogs. And there's a couple of traps on there and like barricades and weapon racks and so on and so forth. There's 2 of those sheets that you can really fill your dungeon up with scatter. And then a unique sheet, which is got some of your more kind of iconic furniture items like the big crucible where the Malagorn is kind of mixing up all these nasty stuff. Don't want to drink that. But there's a well you might want to drink from. So, swings and roundabouts. And some books and some other bits and pieces on there. So, there's some pretty cool stuff here. In addition to that, we have also given you items that are only available in the Obal and Adventure expansion, which then give you different types of chests, and you've got like a plinth in there and an altar and some like a brazier and this kind of double-sided tile for some of the so you can have these like hidden, get these cards that give you this hidden kind of room, and you can kind of set this off to one side.
I'm just trying to remember all the stuff that's in the Heirloom thing.
Me too.
There's so much in it. There's like side quests, there's little secret rooms.
Yes. And all of those extra adventures, which are really, really cool, which obviously you're getting all this content right here. So, and then another sheet, which has got these much more ornate bookcases. In the core set, you don't get bookcases at all, but in our other expansions, some of the other things like the dungeon stuff like that, you get bookcases. These are a bit more ornate, which are really nice. And you've got some banners here, and then you've got these like freestanding kind of doors that may or may not appear depending on what happens, which allow you to find these new areas and some books and an extra little chest and an extra crate. And so there's just like more kind of furniture items that you can fill your dungeon up with, which is really, really cool. So that's your kind of ordinary terrain. as usual, a lot of you guys will already know, but Battle Systems is kind of famous now for its cardboard. So usual high density, cardboard, and it's got this really nice kind of feel to it. It's almost like a satin. It's kind of matte satin finish, which is really, really cool because it means you don't have your game environment, this huge sort of shiny thing. In contrast to that, you've got a block of card here, which is actually different. It's not on the mat. It's got this kind of more kind of glossy finish, and the reason is because it's laminated, and this one's completely sealed up, so I'm not going to be able to get into it. Time for those fingernails to do their job. There you go. And so here you've got, and I think in the retail set, this is just 2 or 3 sheets of card, but there's a lot more here. So you've got your character boards here, and the character boards are quite unique because they're a little bit bigger, like Core Space. In Maladum, you've got like the reverse side as well, so that if they just come in as an adventurer, they might just be here. They might be in like an NPC dashboard here, and they'll go and do their thing, and so on and so forth. But you can hire them after the game, and you've got this here that'll fit in here, and you can see you've got like a class board. So if I put one of those out, this is Ranger, which is odd for Miranda because I feel like she's.
So that's the beauty of it, though, is
You still have to be a Maladum.
They might not be optimal like that, but
Exactly.
you want to play them differently. You want to have a different way of doing it.
Agreed. So we've got that. I can flip it over for a scavenger. And unlike Core Space, like Core Space, we've got the little armor slots on here, but with this one, we had the double armor slot as well, which means it gives you a lot more variety on armor combinations and things like that. So that's really cool. I'll just put that off to one side. So we've got the usual with some spawn points on here as well, some activation counters. Then we got our Revenant boards with our Wandering Beasts and our Malagorn and the big one board, if you like, for just tracking your main adversaries. And here's the Doom track or the Dread track that goes over here. Then you've got all of the items. Now, what we've done this time as well is don't just start punching all of this stuff out, as it were, because we've kind of color coded it. So when you first play the quick start guide, there's a little mission set up, and it'll get you to punch out just what you need for that. And we've color coded this in strips, whether it's rare or whether it's meant for the tutorial mission. So that's really cool. And you can kind of punch this out as you need it instead of having this huge wad of equipment, as it were. Then we've got all your counters, and there's various other things on here like portals from magic effects, and we've got the patrol points which send your characters on weird and wonderful, rather than just constantly coming for you, you can hide and sneak around. This is awesome. This is all of the cards for your additional adventurers. So we've got extra class boards on here, new classes, and all of the stats for your new characters, which you're getting in the Kickstarter edition, along with additional content and more class boards, more interesting mechanics on this for crafting. Yes, which is really, really cool. So, and you're getting that as part of the Kickstarter. So, once you've played a couple of games and stuff, you might, okay, what's this crafting about? You can start to actually craft your own equipment, and then even more equipment with even more interesting effects. My God, I spent weeks and weeks just creating endless equipment items for various different, the ways we wanted the game to move in different directions.
And some of this you can't even get just by finding it. You have to go on quests to go and get it.
Exactly. Yeah, yes. It's not just like, so be careful when you're punching stuff out. And again, this is all color-coded and tells you where to put stuff and what to do with it, as it were. And even more equipment on here, but also we've got these really cool the Wandering Beast cards as well. And they've got their own little punch-out health areas, which is also really, really cool. And they've got like a normal side and an elite side as well, which is...
they look terrifying enough as it is without being the elite.
The ones in the game are hard enough. You've got the troglodyte wandering around just nicking all your stuff before you get to it. And then you go and find he gets the best bit of equipment. One rare item, and the troglodyte find it every time. Then you're chasing him down. But yeah, these guys, just bring something a little bit more interesting to it as well. And then you've got some more counters and some more spawn points and some more items, including very, very specific for crafting items like that are literally, they do nothing but their crafting, raw materials and things like that. So that's really cool to be able to find some of that. So a hell of a lot of content. We've got a hell of a lot of cardboard, especially this kind of really heavy on the laminated stuff. Plus all the normal retail terrain things and your extra Alan Adventure kind of terrain.
And you're really going to use this stuff as well, because although you'll have a similar looking thing, it'll have a different effect on it. So you might choose to take it over something else because you particularly want to optimize for, say, 100% bang on the head. Or
yeah, 100%. Yeah. So once you've got, I'd certainly recommend going in and playing with the retail content. And then once you've got the hang of that, you can just start chucking some of this stuff in. Most people, when they played like Core Space and Core Space Firstborn, is they'll play through the whole campaign just on the retail box, and they'll go, right, now I'm going to go in again. Because every time you play the campaign, it's different. Even with Core Space being a linear one, what happens with the event cards kind of creates this interesting narrative, and you get to really enjoy it. Whether you're playing it solo, or if you're playing it with somebody else as well, and you can, there's this whole push-pull of like, do we fight each other or do we, Anyway, so a lot of content there, loads and loads of stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed me just like unpacking the box to give you an idea of what you're going to find, so there's no surprises. What we do need to do though is we need to put this together, assemble it, and then I'll show you the box again and I will unpack it, but this time it'll be with all the little bits of furniture and everything assembled, so you can see how it's stored once you've actually, popped out all of this cardboard and everything else.
it's a lot of stuff to get in a box.
It is. Should we do that?
Let's see.
Let's go. More wobble in the body. Okay, here we go. Right. So yeah, that transition's done.
Yep.
So I have put packed this box back up. So this is basically everything we just unpacked and showed you guys, but it is now packed back in its box, and it did go back in its box, just about.
Shouldn't have doubted it.
Shouldn't have doubted it. Should never have doubted it. Okay, so I'm going to just pop this into frame and just show you what we did. Very similar to the unboxing, but of course we've played multiple games of Maladum now, and we've put all our terrain together and all the rest of it. Many hours of fun. So game mat just sits back on the top as it was. We've then got our miniatures just sitting straight on the top. And what I've done in here is I've taken the miniatures out of their baggies. I've popped the dice in here. I've now got my pegs just free in here so that I can dip into them as I need to. You might want to keep it in like much smaller baggies or something like that. And of course, so this is pretty much as it came out of the box anyway, because all these go back into their places. So that's nice and simple. There's a random tile here which I've just put on top of the box so that it doesn't get on top of the book, so it doesn't get squashed. This is from the Alan Adventure, this multi-sided tile. That fits there really nicely. And then the books here, and then the core rule book at the bottom, which is also acting like a lid to basically all of this in here. We've got our range ruler, which has gone on the lattice inside. So what we've done is we've slotted this lattice together. When you put the lattice in, it doesn't really matter so much in the retail version, but certainly in this version, once you've slotted the lattice together, there's one side of the lattice which has just got a little bit more space on it. Pop that off to the right side, okay? And then in here you'll see that, all our bits of terrain have been assembled and popped in here. I like to keep my walls like this. Anyone that's got watched any of our other videos, you'll see I like to keep my walls just with some elastic bands, so it's just like a, easy to store and move around, doesn't spread around in the box. And the best way to do this is by you've got two large entrances, one at the top, one at the bottom, then sandwich all the other walls in between, which is really, really cool. And that just fills up all of that block. Pop that back in there, like that, so everything at bin, and then that on top. And everything else in here, then we've got some of this in the corner here. We've got some baggies with counters and things like that in it. These counters sort of like laid flat. This is a part of the Alan expansion. This is actually the banners And these are kind of weird because they're kind of bulky with sconces firing out in this direction. But they're just so simple. I've just flat packed them, just put them on top.
Everything takes seconds to put back.
They do, yeah. They're not the sort of thing that you necessarily want to glue together or anything. So everything else is as we've done it. You know, bookcases, you know, of all the little books in place and everything. We just lie on top. We made sure that we've got under here. We've got the big crucible on the well in first into this middle bit, and then we've just very carefully kind of Tetris style way into putting all these other you know, furniture items in there as well. And what you'll get a pretty much flat surface that you can put this across, and then the book, like I say, acts as a lid and holds it all in space, in place. And then of course the miniatures and everything else are held in place by their lid, and so on and so forth. On this side, just so you can see where we put some of the other bits and pieces, is I've got the dashboards, and what you're going to be doing is ultimately in between playing, you're going to have your characters. You're not going to want to empty these dashboards each time. So again, your character dashboards, I've just put a couple of rubber bands around here. Any equipment that was in here, I've just popped into these other guys underneath, so that really then you don't have to keep track of what equipment you had last time. You know, once you've done the trade phase and sold off everything you want, you're going to end up with what you need in here. And a couple of rubber bands around that keeps it in place, but also helps with the storage of the box because it frees up a little bit more space to fit in, you know, a last few pieces of card as well. And you can see here we've got the various different, you know, extra bits of card here. At the bottom, right at the bottom there, you've got your event cards, exactly the same place as what they came when they were in the when it was retailed, you know, packed as from unboxing. And then in here, I've got a couple of little baggies, some counters. The bag that the dice came in, I've actually used for the clips because you don't need a big bag for that. And that'll keep those in there from rattling around. And there's some more expansion baggy bits and pieces that I put in there because there's a bit of space left on top of that, which is really cool. So we're only left with this side. The adventurers' kind of waypoint, or their campsite, as it were, when they're not staying in the jolly old tavern, can just fit in there, nice and simple on top. You've got all of your reference cards here. That is a lot of cards. These are really, really cool.
There's a lot of exciting stuff in here.
There's so much content. It's unreal. Consider the retail game you've got, I mean, which is already stacked with content, you know, has got such a small amount of these in it. You'll find that the pen's got its own slot, and then a few extra class boards in there, another little baggie of, you know, your equipment items, which you're going to keep kind of like in different bags depending on whether they're rare or common, uncommon. And then in here, we've just got the nice tote bag or whatever that you're using in game. And when you're playing Maladum, that and going through a campaign, that bag you don't empty it at the end. You just pull it up, roll it up, and put it back in there, because that's an ever-changing kind of pool of equipment that you're going to be dipping into and out of, as it were. So, and because that doesn't really take up the whole of this little space under here, you can pop those bits in there and you can stick your card back on top. And then this little board on top of here, and this has got its own little slot that goes on top of here. And then our book goes back on and holds all of this content in here nicely with these bits. And then we can just pop that on there. That'll be fine because of the space we've got underneath here. And so we can put our miniatures back on top of there. And then when you get to put your game mat in, this is quite high to the top. And when you've got your game mat, you're always going to get at least one side that's going to have the most kind of fold on it. I would ordinarily line that up with where this lower tray is, because that just gives you a little bit more room to play with. We'll do that. Like that. And then it goes back on. And there you go. That is the Kickstarter, all in its box. We made it fit. I think we did that on all of our games so far anyway, so I was in no doubt whatsoever. But it did all fit.
I was obviously in no doubt either.
You was no doubt. Yeah. Well, Maladum was such a big success, you know, that I wasn't sure. I know we gave a lot of cardboard away, and we gave a lot of miniatures and a lot of extra counters and things. But yeah, it's a tight squeeze, but it absolutely fits. So I hope you're happy with that. That's really cool. thank you to everybody for supporting us right from the start. And I'm not just talking about Maladum here, because Maladum's only here because of the support of all our other games and our other Kickstarter games. You know, it's a slow transition to, you know, from one game to another game. So thank you for everybody who backs us on Maladum. Thank you for everybody who backed us before that, and people who don't back us, who just support us. That's allowed us to get this game out to you. It was our biggest project that we've ever done, and there was a few delays near the end, but we always deliver, and we've delivered.
And what a delivery it is.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. And as you guys know, one of the reasons, you know, one of the things we always do is we make sure that we get all the content as perfect as we possibly can, making sure that, you know, quality is paramount. So you guys are going to be really happy with this. This is without a doubt the best quality game that we have ever produced. And that's saying something, because, you know, we've got some great reviews of all of our other, Core Space is our benchmark. So thank you to everybody. And there's anyone left to say? You have to say happy gaming.
Ah,
Happy gaming.